Hello everyone, welcome to the Insight Hub, your quick access to finance, accounting and business trends. On today's Insights, we'll be analyzing the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the economic implications of this. So after weeks of threats, the Russian forces have finally launched missiles in major cities in Ukraine. And the Russian President Putin has threatened to react instantly if Ukraine or any other country tries to challenge Russia. He even went ahead to advise Ukrainian soldiers to lay low and go back to their homes. This move by Russia has been widely condemned by governments all over the world, with threats of imposing economic sanctions on Russia. Let's have a quick review of the background here. Before now, there has been quite significant tension between the Ukrainian and the Russian governments. This will take us back to 2014 when Russia invaded and annexed the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine, after a referendum supported the merging of Crimea with Russia. Now, recall that Crimea was formerly a part of Russia up until 1954, when the city was transferred to the Ukrainian SSR by the Soviet Union. This 2014 referendum for Russia to take over Crimea was, however, considered illegal by Ukraine and the United Nations General Assembly, considering the fact that Russia leveraged on a major political crisis happening in Ukraine at that time. So Ukraine at that time was facing serious unrest from the Euromaidan protests by those campaigning for the country to join the European Union. The protests escalated seriously and the president had to flee the country. So that was the perfect opportunity for Russia to take back Crimea. You should bear in mind that Russia and Ukraine have similar cultures, and even some parts of Ukraine, like the Donbas region and Crimea, are Russian-speaking regions. For reference, here is a map showing the position of Crimea and the Donbas region. Donbas is close to the Russian border, so now you can see why it is easy for a division to emerge. A short while after the annexation of Crimea, the Russian president, in a speech concerning the chaos in Ukraine, declared his support for all Russian citizens and speakers in Ukraine. This created an ethnic division in Ukraine and even propelled the ongoing protests by pro-Russian separatists. The situation escalated violently and led to the self-proclamation of the independence of two Russia-speaking cities in Ukraine, the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. These two cities are known as the Donbas region and was one of the most industrialized regions in Ukraine. After they declared their autonomy, Putin recognized their independence and ordered Russian troops to Donbas as a way of support. The tension between these two countries continued, with series of regular combats between the Russian and the Ukrainian troops. I'm sure at this point you are wondering what the neighbors did to broker peace between the two brothers. Well, in September 2014, Russia, Ukraine, France and Germany signed a ceasefire agreement, which is popularly known as the Minsk Agreement. This was meant to bind each party to keep the peace in the region. However, it didn't work, and even a second agreement, Minsk II, was signed in 2015. This and other subsequent agreements failed because both parties had contradicting expectations. Ukraine wanted ceasefire and a withdrawal of the Russian troops from Donbas. The country wants to have full control of the Donbas region, of course for economic and political reasons. On the other hand, Russia wants the full autonomy of the Donbas region. It believes the people of Donbas are Russian speakers and are pro-Russians. This will give Russia an economic and political advantage over Ukraine, considering that Donbas was one of the most industrialized regions in Ukraine. In summary, Russia was saying, let Donbas be. Ukraine was saying, withdraw your weapons first, then we can move on with the other parts of the peace agreement, and neither of the two countries were ready to give in. Of what benefit is this whole struggle to Russia? Ukrainians have been trying to align with the West and move away from the post-Soviet culture of Russia by joining the NATO and the European Union. This is not really in the best interest of Russia because it sees it as a threat to its borders and will also hinder the influence it has on other former Soviet states. So as long as Ukraine remains an unstable state, it will not succeed in its bid to join the EU. Over the years, the two countries have accused each other of breaking the terms of the Minsk agreement. The tension continued and has now escalated, with Russia amassing thousands of its troops along Ukrainian borders and have even launched a series of attacks in major cities in Ukraine. I must tell you, the story is deeper than we have here. Now down to business, what exactly will be the main economic impact of these recent attacks? The most immediate impact of this is the jump in crude oil price to over $103 per barrel, the highest in the past 7 years. Russia is the second biggest exporter of crude oil in the world and also the largest exporter of natural gas. A war or political conflict will hinder the country's ability to supply oil to other countries, and this will lead to scarcity of crude oil globally, as well as a corresponding increase in price. Since the recent tension between Ukraine and Russia heightened, the anxiety in the oil market has increased and the market's reaction reflects this in the oil price. What impact will this have on other countries? First, there will be massive disruption in the supply chain. If Russia is unable to export, demand will surpass supply, leading to a sustained increase in oil price. This will directly lead to an increase in the cost of production for companies who rely on crude oil products in different countries. When costs are too high for manufacturers to operate, factories will be forced to shut down and lay off workers, and the country will lose investors. What is the trickle-down effect here? A contraction of the affected country's GDP is inevitable, as well as an increase in unemployment and a general decline in the standard of living. In summary, an economic chaos will persist. The connecting chain is deep, however, in the long run, an impact will be felt depending on the level of disruption faced. This is one aspect of it. Many European countries depend on natural gas from Russia to generate electricity and heat. There is a two-way consequence here. If the sanction on Russia persists, or if Russia is unable to supply natural gas to the EU, Europeans will continue to experience increased energy prices, both for individuals and factories. People will have to spend more on energy and will be left with less money to spend. Again, the whole economy is negatively affected. Russia, on the other hand, cannot afford to lose its biggest natural gas market. They will have to deal with the pressure of reduced demand, and this will hinder any form of economic expansion on the way. On the part of Ukraine, the country is in complete disarray right now. The UN estimated that as at the 25th of February, about 100,000 Ukrainian residents had fled their homes out of fear of further invasion by the Russian troops. The European Union has pledged to accommodate refugees from Ukraine during this period. When large numbers of people desert a country, the country will end up losing productive labor. So if Russia does or doesn't persist with the war on Ukraine, the country will still be considered as an unsafe place to be, at least for the nearest future. There will be less skilled labor to carry on with economic activities. There will be a significant dive in the GDP value of Ukraine, and the country will struggle to recoup losses. As sad as this is, the fact is that Ukraine will in future have no choice but to seek external assistance from other countries who then enjoy the benefits of Ukrainian expats that fled during this period. For Russia, the US and UK have responded that they will take measures to put pressure on Russia through economic sanctions that will have a long-term impact on Russia. For example, Russian national airlines have been banned from landing in the UK, and the UK will also stop exporting high-tech items and other oil refinery equipment to Russia. They will need to source these from other countries, which might not be the most cost-efficient option for Russia. The implications of this is already taking a negative turn on Russia. For example, the Russian currency fell to its lowest level ever, and the Russian MOEX index plunged 33% from about 3,000 to 2,000 rubles on 24th February, the day the first major attack was initiated. The battle is still ongoing, and Ukraine is on set to defend its country as much as it can. But it seems as though Putin isn't ready to stop anytime soon, even with all these sanctions. You should know that this isn't the first time Russia is facing sanctions. In fact, you can say that they're already used to it and are prepared for it. The country has ramped up its foreign exchange reserves to over $463 billion. And in addition to this, Russia is optimistic of China's support based on previous and current relationship. The question now is, how far is China willing to go in this support, and what impact will that have on China? How much more of an impact will this have on Ukraine, Russia, the sanctioning countries, and the rest of the world? Well, we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned on the Insights Hub. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, this is the Insights Hub. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Please share this with your network and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Insights_Hub and YouTube, the Insights Hub.